Around midnight on the 19th of November 1941, after a desperate battle with the German raider Cormoran, the Australian cruiser HMAS Sydney was last seen limping over the horizon. She was burning fiercely from stem to stern. The Sydney was returning from Sunda Strait when the two ships finally met off Shark Bay late on the afternoon of November 19th. Cormoran was now disguised as the Dutch merchantman Strat Malacca. She would have recognized Sydney as the enemy immediately. On the Sydney, the Cormoran's identity was yet to be established. Of the Cormoran's crew of nearly 400, 318 were to survive. The Sydney's fate was unknown.
This was the greatest tragedy during the Second World War that hit the Royal Australian Navy. And there wouldn't have been a family or a community that wasn't touched by the loss of some 645 men, their wives, their children, their parents, across Australia.
The whole country was in a state of shock for weeks afterwards.
We couldn't believe. We couldn't believe it. And of course, as the days went on, it was just terrible.
I lost many good friends in Sydney, and I feel that I was extraordinarily fortunate not to have been with them when it happened. Lucky Ross, I am. I still often wake up at night and get the shakes and think, well, golly, by the law of averages, I shouldn't be here.
I know of some sailors, mothers, that kept their bed, kept new clean sheets on the bed for months and months, waiting for their boys to come home.
It was a terrible shock to her, and I know that she did, cry at night for many months after the occurrence.
Several days after the battle with the Sydney, survivors from the Cormoran began to be picked up by passing ships or to struggle ashore on the Australian coast.
Now, Captain Didymus, perhaps you'd be so good to describe to us what happened for when you first sighted the Sydney.
The cormorant was armed with 6-inch guns. When I first saw Sydney, I did not know what ship she was. As she turned broadside on, I realized she was a Perth-class cruiser and quite expected to be sunk.
If you go to sea in a war and on a armed merchant ship, you know what your fate might be. So we knew that it would be our hour. Serious.
But then we asked to hoist the signal letters, and that was the signal which Allied merchant ships had only for a journey, especially from the Navy, and we had none. So the war flag went up the mast, and the guns came out.
I opened fire.